My name is Amber Horsley, and it is my distinct privilege to be able to share how amazing our God is with you. On July 7th at 12:08 a.m., my dad went home to be with Jesus. He ended his valiant battle with cancer. And through that experience, I saw so many amazing God moments. God was so clearly in every last detail, and it was humbling. And it leaves me with so much contentment, even in the heartache after losing my dad. One of the things that brought so much joy, especially to this mama heart, was my children and how my children experienced death and loss and this whole circumstance around Pop's passing. And they were part of this for a while because my dad was diagnosed 2 years ago. And after 6 months, he was a medical miracle because pancreatic cancer, it is one of the worst. If you want to choose a cancer, pancreatic cancer is not the one to get. And so, he fought valiantly, and it was amazing how well he did. But my children were aware of his illness and how he was sick, and he was a part of so many of our prayers. And my children went to a lot of his Mayo appointments, and so it was a rhythm of our life. And so one of the first God moments was the day before Dad passed. Nate was watching the kiddos, and they were, playing at the campground because we were camping up at this point. And so just kind of keeping the kiddos entertained while my brother, mom, and I were at the hospital with Dad. And after a nap, they both were up and ready to go. And so my husband just sat down with both of them and just kind of said, do you remember how Pop has been sick? And Adelaide, yeah. Well, we're going to go to the hospital to go see Pop, Bama, and Uncle Greg, okay? Okay. And Adelaide's first question out of the gate, is Pop going to be dead? Like, okay, like, what do you say to that? And Nate just, no, Pop's not going to be dead. Nope. But the whole drive, just over and over, is Pop going to be dead? Is Pop going to be dead? And just Nate having to field that question so many times, just because she knows, she's smart as a whip. And so they get to the hospital, and I come out and greet them, and we kind of just sit down with her, and we just look eye to eye, and we're like, okay, baby, when we go in there, we're not going to talk about death and dying with Pop, okay? We're going to take that time to love on him and to just give him hugs and comfort and smiles and laughter and just share and enjoy this time with Pop, okay? And she looks and she's like, okay. And so we go up, and the door opens, and my kiddos run and just charge at Pop. And it was beautiful. It was so good, and just laughter and smiles and all the things. And so naturally it brought tears to my eyes because I knew that this was some of the last hugs and greetings that they would have with my dad. And so as soon as Adelaide turns and sees me crying, her whole demeanor changes, her face changes, her body language, all of it. She becomes a concerned parent. Like, she is me, and she just rushes me and just like envelops me in her arms and just gives me this so warm and just loving hug. And just, again, like, she's caring for me. And it was just so beautiful. And she had this look in her eyes too, just like of just empathy, but also just this mothering and this nurturing. And so, which then naturally made me cry all the more. But it was just so beautiful seeing her in that moment, see that need, and just her heart was so beautiful and so pure for Pop and for me. And so then she went back and gave Pop more hugs and give him a hearts and all the things, because that was a big thing with my kids and with their dad, and with Pop is just always giving hearts, little hand hearts. And so gave hearts and talked a little bit longer, and then we all went out. And then later I kind of had said, hey, like, mommy has to go back in and talk to Pop again. I'll be back out in a little bit. And Adelie just looks at me so concerned. No, mommy, no, I need to go in with you. I need to be with you if you cry. I need to be there to comfort you. And it was so beautiful because her heart was so pure. And she had this on her right now that she was going to be with me and she was going to comfort me. And it was just so beautiful. And so I did quickly go in the room by myself, but just her heart in those moments, I will always treasure that. Always treasure that. And so later that day, after all of my dad's siblings had come and everyone was kind of finishing for the evening and we're all going in to say goodnight to my dad and say, see you in the morning type thing. We didn't tell Adelie or Micah to go in because, they had an amazing time talking with him. And so I was like, they did great. We'll see you tomorrow. But we looked away for a second and we were talking to some other family members and we turned around and Adelie's back in with Pop. And she was just had this big hug and she gave this big hug. And she looked back at us and had this look in her eyes. Just this, like, this little smirk and this just like proud of herself, like sensation or knowledge or just the sense of like she knew something we didn't. And it was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And that ended up being the last hug she ever gave my dad. And it was perfect. And she knew. And so those moments were just precious and things I will never forget. And the other part that was incredible was after the visitation. I learned about this afterward when we had another big family get together over supper. My sister-in-law was telling me about their drive. Because at the visitation, it was so beautiful that we have so much family of my husband's family there that they were able to come get the kiddos, bring them back to their house so that we would have plenty of time at the visitation. And I'm hearing about their drive back to their house and how out of the blue, Adelie just says, my Pop's dead. And I'm like, oh man, like, I don't even know what I would say if that was Amanda. And of course she's like, I know. I'm so sorry. Does that make you sad? Adelie, no. My Pop's in heaven with God and Jesus. He is looking down over us. What? How perfect and beautiful. Like, oh man. And then my sister-in-law says, and Vanna, how is Vanna doing? She's good and bad. She misses Pop. But he's in heaven looking over us, and he is with us. Like, and so then the conversation continues, and just, yeah, exactly, they're up in heaven. And Adelie, yep, Pop, God, and Jesus. The theology of a child. Oh, man. I couldn't have coached that better if I was in the car with them. Like, that was the most beautiful thing that I have ever heard. She knows, and she is such a light. It is so beautiful. And then for Micah, I was also really concerned how he would handle it because he and my dad were very close. We're very close. And every time that Pop is at our house or we're at Pop's house, the first words out of his little mouth once he is awake is Pop, and immediately wants to go see Pop. And so I knew and was very prepared that in those days after my dad passed that he would immediately ask for Pop. And he never did. Not once. And in the car or something, he would kind of say, Pop, heaven. Pop, heaven. And I mean, how much does a 2-year-old know? I don't know. But I mean, he knew something, absolutely. And also, he was listening to what Adelie was saying. Adelie was also being a light to him. I mean, I treasure these experiences and these memories of my children. At 2 and 4 years old, they have such deep theology. And I am so thankful to have witnessed it and heard about it. And I just pray that that continues, that they have this innocence of a child. I mean, Adelie, when asked if she's sad about Pop-Up's passing, no, he's in heaven with God and Jesus. What? Like, how amazing is that? Her first response is sadness? No, who would be sad about that? They're celebrating. I mean, man, it doesn't get better than that. It doesn't get better than that. And at the visitation too, I'm sitting next to her because she sees Pop-Up's body. She sees the casket open, and she kind of asks me about it. And I look her in the eyes, and I'm like, remember, where's Pop-Up now? Pop-Up's in heaven with God and Jesus, and his soul is up there. Everything that makes Pop-Up is already in heaven. But that's Pop-Pop's body. That is Pop-Pop's body. And so we're here all to remember Pop-Up and to love on Pop-Up and to take this time to honor him. But remember, Pop-Pop is up in heaven. And she handled it so well. And she continued to ask questions and things like that, but just she seemed to have such a deep understanding that just is profound for me that a 4-year-old has. And so it brings me so much joy and contentment and just utter awe of God that my children have such a deep knowledge of this already at such a young age. It's incredible. God is good. God is so good. And we can see it if we come to him with the eyes of a child.